Welcome to Miracle Mondays. I am really excited for tonight because we are exploring the miracle principles and we are exploring the last five miracle principles. So we are on number 46 to 50. So it's been quite a journey. My name is Reverend Lisa Windsor, and the warmest welcome to our Modern Miracles community and to our academy. We are here deepening in our connection and understanding of the teachings of A Course in Miracles. And this inspiration flowed in this year to really pause at the beginning of the text and to take our time in exploring these principles that really align with the laws of God. And I always remind you that this is a course in miracles. And so we have to be open to really learning about miracles. And everything in the course has its own definitions, different definitions than we are accustomed to. And so our inner teachers bring us these principles to help lay the foundation and the groundwork as we move forward into more of the theoretical foundations of the spiritual teachings. And so I've been so grateful that not only have we gone through the miracle principles, but that they're recorded and they're available to you on YouTube and they can go back and be revisited. So we have them there. And it is a deep dive. I think probably re-listening to these, you'll probably gain something different each time. That's usually how the course works. There's something that lands in our hearts and minds. So just being aware that for today's gathering and session, that there's going to be certain things that, aren't landing. Just relax and stay open. What you need today, what you need in this moment will be given freely to you and it will land clearly. And I also encourage if you're interested, if you're watching the recordings, if you come to the Miracle Mondays live, there's also opening prayers and there's question and answer time at the end. So I really encourage you to come and join these free classes, right? They're available. They're available for everyone. So let's get started. Miracle Principle 46. Shall we just dive in? Let's dive in. Let's share my screen here. Okay, so this says, the Holy Spirit is the highest communication medium. Miracles do not involve this type of communication because they are temporary communication devices. And when you return to your original form of communication with God by direct revelation, the need for miracles is over. Okay, so I'll say that one more time. The Holy Spirit is the highest communication medium. Miracles do not involve this type of communication because they are temporary communication devices. When you return to your original form of communication with God by direct revelation, the need for miracles is over. So let's get into that a little bit, okay? So this principle is actually reminding us that miracles are not the goal, but they are a means to an end, okay? Because they are temporary teaching tools. They work within the level of perception. They undo fear and they correct our misperceptions and they restore our clarity. Their purpose, the miracle's purpose, is actually to prepare the mind for something far greater. That would be our communion with God. Okay? So, and that's what I'll talk about in a second about like revelation is communion with God. That's what the miracle is going to prepare us for. So, the principle begins by saying that the Holy Spirit is the highest communication medium. This means that Holy Spirit is the most direct connection to truth that we have while we still believe that we're separate. He communicates to us through inspiration and peace and inner knowing. And that all of that inspiration, it always is replacing the ego's voice, the ego's fearful, guilt-ridden voice. But then it says that miracles do not actually involve the highest form of communication. Okay. And why is that? Why are they not at the highest form of communication? And it says probably there's an emphasis actually in the course where it says the word temporary is in italics, right? It says they're temporary devices. So it says miracles still occur within perception, right? They're occurring on the level of perception where our correction is actually needed. Correction is not needed in truth. Correction is needed on the level of perception. Miracles are inspired by the Holy Spirit, but they express his guidance as a shift in how we see, not as direct, pure knowledge, right? So the miracle is like a shift in our perception, and that's inspired by the Holy Spirit, but it's not direct communion with God. So we could also say that miracles translate the Holy Spirit's truth into a perceptual correction. So they translate the Holy Spirit's perfect love, peace, and it comes through the channel, through the miracle as a perceptual correction, usually as a way of seeing something differently, right? And this experience of miracles, it gently guides the mind towards love while we still believe in time and form. The ultimate goal, though, is revelation, okay? The direct experience of union with God. Revelation transcends time, language, and thought, and it cannot be taught. It cannot be achieved through effort. It is received, revelation is received when the mind is in a moment completely still and free of fear, and also in a moment where the mind is ready for revelation. There's like revelation readiness. And to be honest, like we don't have to worry about revelation because this isn't a course on revelation, it's a course in miracles. Okay, so but we want to know that you don't at the end of the day, we don't stop with miracles because miracles don't even exist in truth ultimately. They are a device that we need now for the awakening. They are the bridge that bring us back to the truth. But ultimately, the ultimate is oneness with God, back home in God. So we could say that miracles prepare the mind to remember what has always been true, and that revelation is the full remembering itself. The revelation is the full remembrance, and that miracles are what are preparing us for that remembrance. They're preparing us to remember, okay? So the miracle is something that purifies the mind. We know this. It clears space in the mind. It quiets fear. It trains our minds to listen to the Holy Spirit. Revelation, on the other hand, comes again when the mind is completely still. And it's not something you can make happen. You did this. This isn't what we hold and wish and effort for revelation. It's just received at a moment of perfect grace. And you could say something like this to the Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit, prepare my mind for stillness, prepare my mind for revelation. But the truth is that he is, you don't really have to stop and say it. We're all being prepared for revelation. We're all being prepared for the full remembrance of our communion with God. So we could say the miracle to the revelation is like from communication to communion. That's what the miracle is, like a communication device that's still happening. Whereas communion is like perfect communion, or communion is perfect communication. So if you think about miracles, they often involve communication through symbols, intuitions, words, guidance, acts of forgiveness, whereas revelation is direct communion with God, and there are no concepts involved in that. There's just a pure experience of divine presence. And so we come back to the purpose of this course, and it really is to remove the blocks to love's presence. That's what the miracles do. They remove the blocks to love's presence. So just remember, we don't bring about revelation like we have a personal part in bringing about revelation. No, it's already actually built into the divine plan. So revelatory moments, it's like the script is written. Those are part of it. Um, but in a sense, the experience is that we prepare for it by choosing miracle mindedness. So eventually, revelation will come. And the miracle mindedness, it clears the mind of fear. And then the mind starts to become back to a state of wholeness. And then God's voice is remembered, not as words, but as a direct experience of his eternal love. So, and I love the practicality, to be honest. I'm like, okay, but so show us what we can work with. And Jesus is like, you can work with miracles. It's like, okay, let's do that then, right? But he's just saying, like, this is important because they are temporary. Okay, let's go to miracle principle 47. I'm hoping that can you guys actually see my screen? Yeah, you can? Okay. Okay, so let's see. Miracle Principle 47 says the miracle is a learning device that lessens the need for time. It establishes an out of pattern time interval, not under the usual laws of time. In this sense, it is timeless. The miracle is a learning device that lessens the need for time. It establishes an out of pattern time interval, not under the usual laws of time. And in this sense, it is timeless. And I love this because we are under God's laws, not the world's laws. So even the laws of time that the ego tries to utilize, I'm like, they don't apply to miracles. So let's see what we can say about that. So we do know, or if you don't know, time itself is actually part of the ego illusion. Um, and it often stretches, it seems that our learning and our healing is stretched out over long periods of time. And what the ego would want is for us to stay forever caught in time, where we keep guilt in the past and then projecting our fear into the future. And we just stay in this time loop. But the miracle collapses time. It's quite radical, actually, because it's healing not on the level of the world, but it's healing us on the level of mind, where true healing occurs. And the other thing is that the miracle brings correction in the holy instant. That is the only true time there is. And so we could say the holy instant is the present moment, the power of now. The present moment is the holy instant. And we can often talk about that. We say, well, the past is a concept in my mind. The future never comes because we're always thinking of the future. And at this time, this present moment, if we're dropped in fully, this is where the holy instant is. This is where God is. This is where our guidance is. This is where joy and love and peace is. This is where the correction happens, right here in the holy instant. So when we forgive, we drop the belief in the ego story, and that entire the timeline of that suffering can be undone. So and you might notice in the course that sometimes when you're doing your workbook lessons, Jesus will say things like, well, this can save you thousands of years. This will save you thousands of years, right? He'll talk about that. He's kind of talking about we can delay in time. It's a dream, but we can delay and suffer in time. But the miracles can collapse time, so it can save us time. And so we know this. The ego uses time to reinforce the idea that we are separate and that we must earn our way back to peace. We have to work very hard. The ego's prescription is to work very hard to earn our way back to peace. But the miracle doesn't work that way. It really shortens time because it will release the guilt and fear by offering us a shift in perception right now. Instead of through prolonged struggle, it can offer us a new perception now. Right? It can undo our belief in the story by offering another way of seeing. It can deem the pattern that we're seeing constantly, the ego pattern, unnecessary. So this is kind of like a sweet, just like reflection for you. Just take a moment and reflect on something in your life that feels like it's dragging on or taking too long to heal or resolve. Just see if something comes to mind. Something that's dragging on. And then just ask inwardly, Holy Spirit, I'm willing to let this be healed outside of time and just sit quietly for a moment. Let your willingness be enough. You don't have to figure anything out. Just it opens the door to say, I'm willing for this to be healed outside of time. And we can really say that the miracle drops us into the holy instant, the now moment where the healing takes place. And in this instant, you are not bound by your past or anxious about the future. You're simply available for truth. Just notice that this instant is holy because it is shared with God. This instant is holy because it is shared with God. You just have to accept that He is here. And sometimes it can be that simple to just say, this can heal outside of my understanding of healing. It can heal outside. I can be expansive. So this idea of collapsing the timeline, it may mean that we don't need to relive or unpack years of pain. These moments of true forgiveness can collapse the structures, the stories, the experiences that seem to hold this narrative in place. The miracles don't fix the stories. They just have us stop believing in them, right? Stop repeating them. Stop thinking they're real. Here's another cool inquiry. What if in this moment, right now, what if this is enough to end the story I've been carrying around? What if this instant is enough for me to end the story I've been carrying around? Because I can release it in this instant. This instant is the only time there is. What if I chose not to carry it any further and I released it to the light? That's the miracle. That's what we invite when we release our stories and our past to the light. But it always gets released now. But what the ego says is you have to carry it around. You have to hold on to it. It's just not that simple to just release it now. But what if we could? What if there was a story that we were just finished with and we just decided, I'm going to release it now? Now is where the miracle happens. Now is where time is collapsed. So you could think of the miracle as like removing the root. It's not like just trimming the leaves off, right? Like when we're working on the level of the mind in the holy instant, we're removing the root. So I love this one because ultimately the miracle is lifting us out of the ego's timeline, the timeline of guilt, the timeline of blame and suffering. And we're collapsing time by healing at the source, in the mind, in the holy instant, where only love is remembered. So good. Okay, let's look at our next miracle principle, number 48. The miracle is the only device at your immediate disposal for controlling time. Only revelation transcends it, having nothing to do with time at all. I'll say that one more time. The miracle is the only device at your immediate disposal for controlling time. Only revelation transcends it, having nothing to do with time at all. Okay. So time is part of our theme tonight. Here we go. So this is kind of cool. So principle 46 that we started with was reminding us that revelation, the direct communion with God, is the goal, and that transcends time altogether. So revelation isn't about time. And principle 47 showed us how miracles collapse time by undoing guilt and fear in the holy instant, in the present moment. And now this miracle principle is telling us that miracles are the only tool that we currently have for shifting our relationship with time. It gives us some control over time, which is very cool because time is a big thing in this whole thing. I mean, A Course in Miracles is a speed up. You're going to save time. You're going to save time from suffering. And so it's giving us the miracles to work with. So miracles work within time. Remember, they're temporary, right? They're on the level of perception. So they work within time. And they are the means by which we heal the mind, where we undo fear, and allow time to serve our awakening instead of delay it. This is important. The course teaches that the script is already written, but when the mind is healed, when miracles happen, parts of the story that has been written, they no longer play out. They no longer need to play out. So literally pieces of the timeline in the script collapse. They dissolve. So miracles collapse time by releasing the need for certain lessons to repeat themselves because the learning has already occurred. That's pretty remarkable. The trick with this one is that we don't really understand how this happens, and we don't really see this part because we don't know what we're missing. We heal something and we go, well, I didn't know, like maybe I would have had, a car accident, or I would have had another experience that I didn't necessarily have, but we don't know that. So this really goes on a lot of faith in saying, okay, Holy Spirit, you're the one handling the timeline. But that's what he's telling us. Each moment of forgiveness shortens the journey. The miracle saves time, not by changing the story, but by changing the teacher from the ego to Holy Spirit and changing our perception of the whole thing. And so it does not mean that certain things will not play out, but it does actually mean that some things that we don't even know of, that we're not even aware of, will collapse away. And those experiences will be deemed unnecessary. The mind will not hold on to them, that they'll fall away from the script. And to me, that's like, I want to hear about all the wonderful like benefits of forgiveness. Like I want to know them all. You know what I mean? Like tell me how like I'm going to reduce suffering, be at peace, like avoid like turmoil that is deemed unnecessary. I have the peace there. I don't need to repeat that guilt cycle anymore. I don't need to repeat that fear cycle anymore. I don't need to repeat that blame cycle anymore. It just doesn't come up for me anymore. Wow, that's amazing. That's a miracle. So we know that in the ego's hands, time becomes a loop of regret and fear, right? Keeping us in past and future thinking. But the miracle breaks the loop. It heals the guilt, and it undoes the belief that we're caught in the past and that the past controls what's going to happen next. So here's a quick reflection for you. What guilt are you still carrying from the past? And are you willing to give it to the Holy Spirit right now? We're playing with time, right? Again, what are we carrying and what are we willing to give to him right now? Now is when the healing occurs. Now is when we have access to the miracle. Now is the holy instant of release. So what this comes down to is that the miracle reassigns the purpose of time. It gives time a different purpose than the ego has for it. When time is placed in Holy Spirit's hands, it becomes a classroom for our awakening, not a prison for guilt. The ego uses it as a prison for the mind, and the Holy Spirit uses it as a classroom for our awakening. And the miracle removes the lessons. It removes the need to learn the lessons through pain. Instead, we come to learn lessons more through willingness and insight. There's another question you could ask yourself. Where have I been learning through suffering? Where have I been learning through suffering? And am I open to learning through peace and forgiveness instead? Am I open for that? Am I open for another way? Because even though there's discomfort in the process, we don't have to suffer in the same way. The ego has its way of always keeping us in suffering. And I used to think healing was hard work and that suffering was required. And Holy Spirit eventually said, you've come to gentler pathways and smoother roads. It's not going to be like that anymore. It's not necessary that you learn through suffering. It doesn't work that way. You have to learn through love. And what we're also learning is miracles collapse the need for repetition. Painful experiences often repeat because the mind hasn't yet chosen to see them differently. We know that that happens, right? Something unforgiven comes up again and again. Now it's coming up for healing. It's not coming up for harm. But when we choose the miracle, it will shift our perception. And then the lesson is learned. Then the lesson is learned. And time no longer needs to repeat that form because that guilt has been dissolved. I just love this. Just say to yourself, I no longer need to learn through pain. I am willing to learn through peace. Holy Spirit, use time to teach me I am already free. We are no longer willing to waste time. Right? Let's use it for the highest purpose, right? Let's use it as a gift to ourselves for our awakening. Now we have the right purpose of time. And we know revelation lies beyond time, but miracles are how we prepare for it now. Choosing peace instead of delay. And you see, all these little processes that we've done, we're just doing them now. Sometimes it's that simple. It's like the ego always has reasons why we need to delay, why we'll heal later, why we can't let it go right now. But we can. That's the power of the holy instant. Okay, let's go on to miracle principle 49. The miracle makes no distinction among degrees of misperception. It is a device for perception correction, effective quite apart from either the degree or the direction of the error. This is its true indiscriminateness. The miracle makes no distinction among degrees of misperception. It is a device for perception correction, effective quite apart from either the degree or the direction of the error. This is its true indiscriminateness. That's a big word. Indiscriminateness. Okay. Thank you, Holy Spirit. I love this. I actually love this principle. This is key, right? Ooh, this is a key one. The principle exposes one of the ego's most subtle tactics. The belief that some problems are worse than others, that some upsets are minor and others are unforgivable. But the miracle makes no distinctions among errors. It recognizes that all misperceptions arise from the same root belief, that we believe that we are separate from our source, that we believe that we have separated from God, and thus all the errors are the same. Remembering that the miracle is a device for perception correction. It doesn't evaluate the form of the error or compare the severity of grievances. It simply goes to the source in the mind and offers a shift back to truth. This is such a different process, right? How many of us spend all of our time in the healing looking at the error, getting caught in the error, comparing the error? The grievances, we're really caught up in the grievances. We analyze them. We spend time with them. We pull them apart. The ego loves that stuff. The ego wants us to analyze it. This is so different than the miracle. The the correction that's been given is so different than what we've used. So true indiscriminateness, the miracle, it responds to every error with the same correction. It gives us a change in perception, a return to love. No matter how intense or justified an upset may seem, the miracle undoes it. It undoes it at the cause level, restoring us to right-mindedness and peace. So it undoes it because it's all rooted in ego thought, all rooted in misperception, all rooted in misthought, all rooted in false thought, whatever you want to say it. Those thoughts are not real, they're not true, and though they will dissolve when you bring them to the light of understanding. So, and I often talk about this because the ego really has like our number on this one, where it will say like the little things that irritate us, it doesn't really want us to look at. It has us shove those under the carpet, not make a big deal about them. The big things, it tells us they're unforgivable. We get really caught in our grievances this way. The Holy Spirit has to come with this gentle, loving encouragement and say, bring me everything that would hurt you, from the littlest, tiniest irritation to the greatest rage. Bring me everything that would hurt you. Because all of it, we lose our peace of mind. No matter if it's the littlest irritation or the greatest rage, we have lost peace and connection with God. We have lost our peace of mind, and that is not okay. That's it. I mean, the ego doesn't care if it's a little thing or a big thing. It wants us to really believe that that matters, and it really, really doesn't. So the ego wants us to believe that some things are more serious, that they're justified, and it keeps guilt in place and makes forgiveness very conditional, right? Of course, the ego is all about conditional love and conditional forgiveness. But the miracle doesn't play that game. It looks past the form entirely and goes straight to the mind, where the error of separation can be corrected instantly. Because we can have a shift in mind, we can have a shift from the ego back into alignment with love. We can remember the truth. We can see beyond the form to the truth, the blazing light, to the Christ behind everything, to the radiant light that is the truth of all. So just thinking of this for your own reflection. Think of a small irritation and a big grievance that you have. Just think of something small that irritates you, bugs you, annoys you. And then think of kind of something heavy, like a big grievance that you're kind of struggling with. What if both are equally unreal? What if both are equally forgivable? Can we affirm there is no order of difficulty in miracles? There is no order of difficulty in miracles. That is the truth. And this takes a long time to untangle from. And we need a lot of support along the way in remembering this. All of our meaning, we've placed meaning on everything, and all of that meaning has to be untangled from. And the meaning holds the hierarchies of these illusions. Whether we're triggered by a traffic jam, a lifelong betrayal, the root of the problem is the same. But of course, that's covered over. We get caught on the surface on the problems. We don't see that the root of the problem is the same. It's the ego that is running the show. And that is our problem. We have the ego. We've chosen the ego as our guide instead of love. You guys, the miracle doesn't even have to evaluate the story. It simply corrects the perception by restoring the awareness of love. And that's why it is so powerful when we bring anything to Holy Spirit and say, I am willing to see this differently. I am willing to see this differently. Whatever it is, will you bring it to him? Will you affirm that you're willing to see it differently? God does not make exceptions around these things. Everything is healed with the miracle. It sees no difference in illusions. So in miracle mindedness, we actually stop sorting the good and the bad, right? the justified and the unjustified. And we simply start to just forgive everything. All our judgments are the same mistakes, and we give them to the Holy Spirit to be undone. All our judgments are the same mistake. This is liberation. This is truly liberation because it liberates us from having to analyze and judge all that happens. We can really start to loosen from the meaning we've given everything. So I like actually, this kind of connects nicely in with Miracle Principle 50. So let's go on to that one. So Miracle Principle 50 says, the miracle compares what you have made with creation, accepting what is in accord with it as true and rejecting what is out of accord as false. The miracle compares what you have made with creation, accepting what is in accord with it as true and rejecting what is out of accord as false. So in a way, the miracle is like a gentle spiritual discernment, okay? It doesn't analyze, it doesn't argue or judge. It simply recognizes that what reflects God's love, peace, and truth, and what doesn't. And what doesn't reflect God's love, peace, and truth is just dissolved and disappears. So it will hold up our ego-made thoughts with what is eternal, and through the Holy Spirit's vision, he helps us discern what is truly valuable. So like the miracle is like this filter of light, and it shines through, and what is not true quietly just fades away. And it's the Holy Spirit who knows what is eternal, what is true, what is valuable, what is to be kept, because what is true is forever and we can't lose it. Okay, so we often don't know what has real value because the ego teaches us to invest in what is temporary, dramatic, or emotionally charged. The miracle sees through the Holy Spirit's vision, which filters perception through what is eternal, what is peaceful, what is loving, and what is unified. And the miracle accepts only what is of God's creation, what cannot be lost, what never harms, and what is whole and unified. So the reason this kind of relates nicely to the other one is like, this is about discernment, right? This is about like the true from the false. The last miracle principle, let me just see here. It's saying that the miracle makes no distinctions among degrees of misperception. So we are now able to take whatever rises up because we cannot judge it. It's telling us you cannot analyze, you cannot judge, you cannot see. And when we bring it to the light of understanding, when we bring it to the Holy Spirit, they discern for us the true from the false. This is really important, right? Like we can't sort that out on our own. We cannot sort it out on our own. We will get caught in misperception. We will get caught in a hierarchy of illusions if we do so. But with the miracle, we don't need to. The miracle will filter. It's a gentle discernment of the true from the false. It's necessary. That's why we can't heal apart from Holy Spirit and Jesus. We can't heal on our own because we don't have the ability to discern the true from the false. True discernment isn't judgmental. It releases, right? The ego, its idea of discernment, ranking, criticizing, comparing. Like true discernment is peaceful, not punishing. It isn't about deciding who or what is right. It's about recognizing that what doesn't last is not real. And in that it doesn't hold value. It's not of God. So in a way, our belief in what is temporary gets withdrawn and we allow things to come and go without attachment because they're not real. And so we can appreciate things, we can have gratitude, but we can also let things come and go. It's like be passerby, right? Like Jesus saying, like, let things come, let things go, because those aren't what's real and true. We can use things symbolically, and that can be helpful. But again, it's helpful because the miracle is a temporary teaching device. So, as we train the mind to choose with the Holy Spirit, we begin to notice a simple pattern. Peace will show us what's real. The Holy Spirit's vision will show us what's real. And fear will always show us what we've made up. And what we want to do is value what is eternal. What we want to do is learn to see through the Holy Spirit's vision. That's what we want to do. So I love that idea that the miracle serves as a divine filter. Isn't that cool? A divine filter. Let's bring everything and put it through the divine filter, right? Distinguishing between the eternal creations of God and the transient illusions of the ego. It doesn't engage in analysis or judgment, but gently releases what lacks true value. By aligning our perceptions with Holy Spirit, we learn to value only what is eternal, what is loving, and what is peaceful. The miracle ultimately guides us back to the awareness of our true inheritance, the unchanging love of God. The unchanging love of God. Okay, there we go. 50 miracle principles to build a foundation for our text, for a theoretical foundation for these incredible teachings. And I'm not sure where we're going from here. I have a sense that we might be talking about miracles for a little longer, pulling some other parts of the theory around miracles, but I'm still waiting for guidance. But for now, we have the 50 miracle principles completed. And I'm so grateful. I'm actually so grateful for the Holy Spirit and Jesus for bringing these teachings through and building a stronger foundation for us to understand the laws of God and the miracles that we are asked to work as miracle workers. So, just reminding you that following these classes, we have Modern Miracles classes. And then we also have roundtable discussions where we come on and we deepen in deep discussions with the leadership team. So these Monday nights, again, if you can come on live, they're such a gift. They're really a gift to our own spiritual development. So, again, if you are interested in A Course in Miracles and you want to learn more, you can always visit our website, www.modernmiracles.com. We are so just grateful for your presence. So thankful you're here. And I'm just sending everyone off with a beautiful blessing for a beautiful day.